Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of our Scars series. In this series, we're exploring the idea that festering wounds don't have the potential for healing, but scars do. So if somebody comes alongside you and they're bleeding in the same way that you are, they've got the same trauma, the same emotional pain, and they say, "Me too," you get to bear each other's burdens, and there's empathy there, but there isn't victory. When somebody comes along, like, say, Jesus, and says, "Me too," but he's not still bleeding all over the place and damaged from it, rather he's scarred and whole, his scars can lead to your healing, because scars speak not just of empathy, but also of victory. So in week 1, we talked about Adam, and then last week we talked about Cain. And my question as we approached Cain was, Cain's jealous. It seems like his wound is jealousy. How does Jesus ever hope to come alongside him and say, "Me too," because jealousy is a sin, and Jesus, of course, Christians believe, never sinned. My light bulb came when I realized Cain's wound actually isn't jealousy. It's what comes out of the jealousy. What comes out of the jealousy is alienation. He cries out to God, "My punishment for this jealousy, killing my brother, is too much to bear. I am banned from my homeland, and I'm banned from your presence, and I am a homeless wanderer." So he is wounded because he doesn't have a home, and he's drifting. I put it this way in the sermon: Cain's wound is that wherever he is not where he wants to be. And that's what happens when you're jealous. There's always something out there that's better than where you are. You can't stay in the moment. Jesus isn't jealous, but he can come alongside Cain and he can say, "Me too," about the homelessness. In Luke 9, we read that the Son of Man, this is Jesus, has no place to lay his head, which is a way of saying he doesn't have a home. And when you think about that a little bit, as we did on Sunday, considering the question, my son asked me, would you rather be able to stay in a hotel and have everything paid for and food and all that stuff for the rest of your life and that taken care of, or would you rather have a modest house? It's interesting because anybody who's traveled extensively would very quickly say, "I'll take the house." There's something missing deeply in our lives when we don't have that sense of location. And Jesus didn't have that. So he comes alongside Cain, and he understands the heart of a wanderer in the sense of dislocation. And then my conviction comes when I imagine them walking together and talking. And Cain is telling Jesus about how God said to him, "Your brother's blood calls out to me from the ground." So he's referring to Abel, who he killed, and God saying, it's still there. This sin in your life, this blood calls out to me from the ground, reminding me of your sin. And Cain saying to Jesus, "I don't know how to make that go away." And Jesus of the scars saying to him, "I do." Actually, this theme, the blood of a brother, it actually picks up steam later on in the Bible when you see me, Jesus, as being your brother, Cain, and the blood that I shed for you covers up the blood on your hands, and you'll be white as snow. And as this happens, Cain is processing, and he says, "I don't deserve that, though, to be forgiven because of what you've done. I don't deserve that." And Jesus looks at him and goes, "Listen to yourself." When we read the story of Cain, he brings his offering and it's rejected, and he says, "I don't deserve that." And the jealousy comes out of the sense of unfairness. And now, after meeting Jesus, he says those same words, "I don't deserve that," but it's out of a humility and a growing understanding of grace. And as Cain meets Jesus and understands that absolutely you don't deserve this kind of grace, he begins to understand, as we all do who have festering wounds, that when grace is applied to a festering wound, then there's healing. So my conviction for myself, my arrow, to be succinct, is that I need to live in a strong sense of grace, that there are things given to me, forgiveness, joy, the Spirit, that I don't deserve. And as I live with that sense, I can't be jealous, and then I don't end up wounded in the way that jealousy wounds a person, because jealousy takes you out of the life that you've been given. You can't appreciate the grace in it. Jesus of the scars meets Cain, and he says, "Here's grace." Cain says, "I don't deserve it." And Jesus says, "Enjoy your path to healing." May that be the case for you as you learn in the Spirit's power to be filled with joy in the life that you do have, understanding the grace that's been given to you, and then see your own scars your own wounds turn into scars that eventually mean healing for others. That's actually what you're doing this down week. You're out healing others, you're serving, and maybe you've only watched this if you've done that already. If you haven't gone out and done something, it's not too late. You can be creative here in the next half hour. Go to Shoppers Drug Mart, grab some gift cards, surprise somebody, shovel somebody. Well, I guess there's not enough snow to shovel anything, but do something nice for somebody is what I'm saying. Don't just sit there and talk theology all night. This is Down Week. Grace and peace, everybody. I'll see you next Sunday when we look at the scars and wounds of Jacob. Grace and peace.